Okay, y'all, so I told myself I wasn't going to make another one of these cups because I almost pulled my hair out last night when I did it, but a lot of you have commented, and it's almost easier to just make another one and post it so that I can answer all y'all's questions. So I did a full glitter camo cup last night. Took me about 3 hours, I would say, start to finish. I used PDB Mira, PDB Serafina, PDB Bordeaux, and PDB Charming. I'm going to make another one. One of these glitters will not be a PDB, and it is not on the approved vendors list, so I will not be sharing this color. But I will be using Orchid today, Bordeaux, and Charming again on this one. A lot of you asked if I did freehand. I started that way. I did not like how rough the edges were. I do want a more crisp edge. So what I did, I know a lot of you are going to have a Cricut. I'm not experienced in any way with Cricut, so I don't know how to explain this for your software, but what I did is just went and got a camo template, just a pattern, a camo pattern off Google, and I traced each individual color by color. I know you guys aren't going to be able to see this, but essentially it's going to cut each one like so. I do have a conical warp template for a 20-ounce skinny already in my system, so I did cut it to perfectly align with that, and then I just put it on the cup to start. And then I pull up each color individually. This cup did start as white. Because I used Serafina, which is a lighter color pink, I didn't want that on a black background. So when I pulled all the dark first, and then I took it to my garage and spray painted that black. So I didn't have to do as many coats. Today, since most of my glitters are dark in color, I think it'll be fine to start it off on a black base, but we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. So, okay, Aubrey, there's one on the couch. So this doesn't have to be perfect. I don't cover the bottom. I did freehand the bottom of this cup. It's the only part that didn't have a template on it. Just grab one. Okay, hold on. Toddler meltdown. You want this one? For who? I'm doing a video, Aubrey. For who? For you? Well, you can have one like this. Okay. So this doesn't have to be perfect for anybody that's never put a vinyl wrap on a cup before. It's going to be pulled off, so if it wrinkles or whatever, it doesn't really matter. I just needed something to give me a general idea. I also wanted something where when I pull up the next color, it gives me that crisp edge, like I said. So, you do kind of want to make sure it lines up with the top and bottom as best as possible, though. I usually do this in my lap, so I'm getting the I don't like you moms from the other room. Okay, Aubrey. So like I said, it really doesn't have to be perfect. The top can work itself out, and the bottom's gonna be hand done over the edge anyways, so if you don't get it to line up all the way around the edge on the bottom, it's fine. I am just using permanent Oracle. I don't have any non-permanent vinyl in my house. I really don't notice a difference. I do buy it in a huge roll, so I use what I have. I don't typically buy vinyl just for templates that I'm going to pull off. And then just go ahead and pull off. There are some little tiny pieces in between my camo sections where the line overlapped. It was kind of unavoidable on a pattern like this, so that's kind of what's catching in most of these places. There's only 2 or 3 that you know, and you're going to notice that with using permanent, sometimes it will pull up some of your spray paint. That's after a very well sanded and washed cup. This stuff is pretty sticky, so I'm really not that worried about it though. It's getting covered with glitter, so there we go. Now, I am going to grab an X-Acto knife because where it does overlap, I do kind of freehand cut to make the shapes line up so that there's not a line. Obviously, on a camo design, you don't, you want it to blend seamlessly all the way around the cup. So I'm going to grab that really quick. It's something I forgot. Aubrey. So first step, I just kind of find one line on one side. Let's see if I can bring you guys in. You're not gonna be able to see this really because it's black, but like I will connect this line and this line, so that when I pull that color up, I'm getting where they overlap together. Let's see. This can kind of take just a second. Some of them I will just leave for when I get to that and transfer it over, but Just trying to eliminate an abrupt end. We'll just figure out the rest at the end. So, my good old buddy Mod Podge. I despise this stuff. I sat and stared at this cup for about 30 minutes trying to figure out a better way of doing it without having to use this. Even my pencil cups, I will template those out where I can use spray adhesive because I absolutely refuse to use this stuff unless I have to. But unfortunately in this instance, it's all I can think of. So let me grab my tweezers so we can pull some of this off. And then just a paintbrush. I do like one that has a little bit of a tip on it. Some of the edges on this template are a little sharp, so I do want to make sure that I can get in and accurately cover that area with glue. So I'm just going to push some of these down. And then I usually work darkest to lightest to try to avoid as much as possible that dark glitter mixing into the light. So then I just start pulling them in a random fashion. I do think 4 colors is the best. I did kind of look a little bit online at some previous tutorials where people freehand 4 seems to be typical. Let's see here. I also don't necessarily pull them all at once. I do try to do all of one color at one time, but on the last one I did kind of come back and forth a little bit, just when I kind of, you obviously don't want the same color next to each other because then they just blend into one big piece. So I did try to avoid that as much as possible. I think I only had one instance where the only color option I had was to use the same, so it made that piece a little bit bigger. It still worked out fine, but yeah. So see, it pulled up a little bit of the spray paint on the bottom. I'm not really all that worried about it. So there, I think maybe we'll do this one in the dark burgundy. Okay, I think that's a good start. I feel like maybe there should be something in the middle here. Yeah, let's do this piece right here. Like I said, there really isn't a right or wrong way. It's just how you feel in the moment and what looks right, and you just kind of go with it. So there we go. So now, oh, I need a piece of paper. Like I said, I'm going to start with the darkest color first. And I try to start from bottom to top so I don't knock it off the cup. Rub it off the cup. I'm pretty good about that. I'm a generous Mod Podge applier. I haven't really had any issues with it looking clumpy or anything, so I do try to keep as much off the next piece as possible so that it doesn't affect when I pull up that next piece of vinyl. For big spots like this, you might have to work in a section. It's also why I hate Mod Podge. It's so like quick to dry and temperamental. I'm sure there might be a way you could figure out how to do this via the epoxy method. I mean, I suppose you could paint on epoxy. You would run into a time constraint with it starting to cure, I imagine, but I don't know. That was my first one, so I've yet to really experiment with. So here's where I will kind of freehand the bottom. Hold on, Aubrey. This is also why I don't do a lot of lives. My 3-year-old is pretty demanding these days. Okay, just a second, Aubrey. Okay. So just to make sure none of that's dry. Just a second. I'm doing a video, love.
No, how about you help right now?
What'd you do?
No. Can you help?
What did you do?
No, I don't have to tell you. I'm just in my room.
You're playing in your room. I know. What did you do in your room?
But I need you to open the box.
Your toy box?
Yeah.
Just a second.
For I only done one toy.
One toy?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm done. And when I'm done with it, I have to put it back and pair for a new toy.
Watch out for that camera behind you.
And then I have to pair a new toy when I'm done.
I do keep another brush here just to kind of dust off the edge. Get your face out of the camera. Stop.
I said you're doing great.
I'm doing great.
No, her said it.
And sometimes I accidentally hit where the glue is, so. If you don't like getting messy with glitter, this is not the cup for you.
Help right now,
In a second, Aubrey. I was covered in it last night. I didn't realize how much glitter had transferred onto me, like my face and my clothes. We have hardwood floors, and I walked out of my room and into the living room, and there's still a path of glitter from my chair in my craft room to my living room. So let me set this down and go open her toy box for her. I'll be right back. I apologize.
You have to keep it open for your
calling her on you, so hurry up, because I'm trying to have a video. Okay? What do you want out of here? You're not getting all these toys out. What do you want? You want this baby? Hurry up. Okay. Sorry, my husband built her like the world's largest toy box, and the lid also happens to weigh a ton, so I have to go open it and close it when she gets stuff out. So, go. So then I'll just move on to this other little section over here.
Mom, this is a spider. I made this spider.
Oh, that's a cool spider.
No, it tries from you. Yeah, it tries.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll eat you. I had this in Daddy's toy yesterday. I had it on.
Okay, you're in the way. Watch it.
Hi. Whoa, I almost fell. I almost fell. I made in set 7 for. I made an A for Aubrey. Oh, this is not working. It's not working.
What's not working?
This. It won't work.
It's an Etch-a-Sketch. Why won't it work?
Cause I had it for a long time. And Daddy's toy. Now it's not done. I can't toy it. Now I can't toy it. It's all done. All the drawings are done. I can't toy it more. It's not done to yellow toy. Oh, now I can't toy it. That one's not working. That one's not working. Open the toy that's not working.
I'm not opening that toy box again.
But that
Not
one's
right now, Aubrey.
That one's not working. Fine, I'm not being this.
Okay.
Mommy, that one's broken. And if you don't give me a new toy when now it's broken, I won't be best. But you're not yellow.
Okay, Aubrey, that's enough. Do you want to go to timeout? Okay. So then you just kind of set that aside, let it dry a little bit. I'll come back in a few minutes, see if that needs a touch up in spots, which I can see a few spots that are going to need to be touched up, but it's hard to tell when your glue's wet. And then I will start the next color. So we will be back. Okay, so this is dried a bit. It's still tacky in some spots, so just be mindful. Try to keep your hand off of those done spots. I am gonna move on to the non-PDV glitter. And I do think I'm gonna switch out Orchid for Mira. I have kind of a thing for Mira. I do like how it plays off Bordeaux. Let's see here. So now you just kind of go back to pulling some vinyl. So this one actually comes across the other side here where my seam overlaps. So if you're gonna hit your glitter and mess it up, this is where you're gonna do it, trying to get these corners of this template to come up. Okay, so that's a pretty good sized one there. Let's maybe do this guy. And it's okay to tear it if it's a big one and come back to the other side and pull it off when you're done pulling it this direction. So here's where you see it kind of going around that other color. Okay. That's a big piece there. So I'm actually, this is where that pattern's gonna overlap on my seam. So I'm actually gonna head it off right here, because if not, this guy carries almost completely around the other side of the cup again. And that's a little bit more than I'm going for on this section, so. Kind of pull it in like that. But same process here. Starting at the bottom here, So now you're just going to want to be a little bit more mindful of that line where it's abutting the other color. It does kind of create a lip that you can kind of push the Mod Podge into, so it's a little bit of a natural barrier. But it does mean you have to slow down just a tad. So this one's big enough. I will do the spot in sections. Wrong brush. This is a cup where you can't really picture the end result till it's done and comes together. When I first started that one yesterday, I was like, oh my God, what have I done? And I've wasted all this glitter and material, but it's crazy how quick it starts to look like a camo design. So, there's that one. Hi, love. Do you have Olaf?
My mess in my room.
You cleaned up your mess in your room?
No, not yet. Right now.
You're going to?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm up here for the back.
really should be taking down all my Christmas. You know, I don't hate this as much as I say if I'm willing to procrastinate something else to come in here and hand glitter with Mod Podge. I really just hate taking down my tree. So instead we glitter. I think this is the longest it's taken me to take down my Christmas decorations. Okay. Do you feel like maybe I'll probably take out this bottom piece and do it in this color and then move on? What, love? You don't necessarily have to pick all of them now. Like I said, I did come back at the end on some that I thought maybe needed one more of a different color. It would be nice if I could do it all at once instead of switching back and forth between glitter and putting it all back in the bottle, but I did have to come back, and I probably will do the same thing on this one. Like I said, this, for me at least, is hard to visualize the end result. Until it gets closer to filling it out. So, trying to evenly balance 4 colors can be a little tricky, but Camo wasn't perfect, right? So, it's a crafter's dream for mistakes in that sense, I suppose. So, but I do think it needs something in this area here. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this blob off the bottom. Okay. And this is where I was talking about you'll start to freehand the bottom out, just as that color wraps the edge. And I might actually move it this direction a little bit so that that middle section doesn't look so strange for the next color to come in there. So that it doesn't look as intentional, I guess. I don't know. I know my lighting in here probably stinks, but hopefully you guys can start to see what's happening here. So just like the last one, I'll let this sit for a few minutes. I do see a few spots where I can see the black through. So I'll just go ahead and touch those up as best as I can here. You obviously want it to dry enough that when you start your next color, it's not gonna stick into a previous color. Okay, so I'm gonna let this sit for a little while and then I'll be back with the next color. Okay, so now these next two, they're both pretty light, so it doesn't really matter which one I start with, but I told my 3-year-old over here to be quiet. Now she's telling me I can't talk, I need to be quiet.
Tessa's warm.
Tessa is warm.
Yeah, Tessa was in the house for a long time. I'm warm too. I'm really hot. And if I'm cold, I'll get come in the house. Whoa, fun. Now can I go to Tessa ice?
Yep.
Yay. Tessa.
Okay. So there's that guy. Let's see. Probably gonna take this guy. anybody wondering, Tessa is our 100-pound silver lab, and her favorite treat is ice. So my toddler feeds her heaps of ice every day. She thinks it's the greatest thing ever. I do occasionally get little clear pieces of Mod Podge come up at the edges of that design where I overlapped onto the vinyl, but where you're glittering right on top of it, it doesn't really matter because it goes away the second you put that new color of glitter on there. So I'll go ahead and start down here. Okay, we want this one to be gold or pink. Let's try gold. Sorry, y'all are gonna hear my washer and dryer start beeping in the background. It is Sunday, which is also laundry day in this house. So These really tight spots, or where having an angled brush works really well. What? So this is the part where it really starts to get tedious for me because I'm over it. I'm not a patient person. I don't know why I thought this would be a good cup for me. I mess up a lot of cups in my house because I don't have patience. That being said, I live in the middle of nowhere. Amazon Prime has become my best friend. And even then, I'm annoyed that it takes me 2 days to get something I need. So that should tell you a little bit about the patience I don't have. know I'm doing a video. Oh, my feet are numb. Anybody else call their toddlers like they're tiny dictators? She sure thinks she is. Out there bossing all the dogs around.
What are you doing?
Putting glitter on a cup.
Why is it that too? Oh, okay, that one.
You don't like this one?
Nope, I said it the last time.
You said it last time. I know you're so brutally honest for me.
And now, oh, to the big one.
What's your favorite cup, Aubrey?
Elsa.
Yeah, you're Elsa. Do you think everybody should have an Elsa cup?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, does I hate Elsa?
I know you love Elsa, don't you? She's your girl, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, can I watch Frozen Elsa on the TV?
Yep, maybe later.
No. Elsa's yellow.
Okay, so I'm gonna let this one sit. We're gonna let that dry. Hold on, please. Hold on. And then we're gonna come and do the last color.
Yes.
Okay, so last part, I went ahead and pulled all the vinyl off. You guys have watched me do that enough. I feel like this video is getting pretty long. So the black you see on here is all that's left to glitter. So let's get it done. I love you too. Careful. I feel feel like the bottom is the hardest at the end because you have nothing to rest your hand on to help guide your line.
You're funny, Tessa. Mama.
What, baby?
You know what? Elsa's on that top right up there. Yuck.
Yes.
You're my favorite Elsa.
So the last color
The book.
here is Mira, which I replaced Orchid for. Okay. I try to get every color on the bottom, I guess. I say try, like I'm an expert at these. Shh, Aubrey. So, it's my goal at least now.
What are you doing, Mama? Are you talking to someone?
I'm talking to the people in my cup group.
What is her name?
There's a lot of people.
What is her name?
I don't know.
Let's tell me. You know what my name is.
Through my paintbrush.
Whoa, I flipped it off my hand. Boom!
Right around mid glittering, my paintbrush does start to get gummed up at the top with dried Mod Podge, but I mean, it doesn't really affect it going on. It's still easy to clean off my brush if you wanted a paper towel to wipe it off. Obviously, you can do that as well. This cup sucks up enough time out of my life, so try to just get it done as quick as possible. piece of vinyl. You tend to see those things when you're at the end. Are you eating the ice now, Aubrey?
Mm-hmm.
Chomp, 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 chomp.
That's how fast I go.
My poor dogs are so patient. They're both 12. We have a 12-year-old boxer as well who's pretty much geriatric at this point. And they're all getting used to having a very active 3-year-old that wants something to do with them now. So she thinks she's like a mini dog trainer, telling them to sit and shake and lay down for their ice cubes. So they're pretty tolerant of her shenanigans.
Outside with Dada.
Dad's in the garage, baby.
Can I go and drop off him?
It's fine. You have to open the door and ask him if it's okay for you to be out there. The husband's putting an engine in an old pickup truck out there today. My hobby is cups. His is restoring old pickups. Old cars, I guess. What'd you say, Aubrey? So, I guess y'all have to decide if the vinyl, ask Dad if he wants the dogs in the garage. If the vinyl helps you, or if you can do it without, because obviously that's an additional cost to your cup. It's a pretty large piece of vinyl, but for me, I think the end result was more of what I was looking for. Oh, Daddy stripped my cups.
There you go, save that one for you.
Thank you.
I'm gonna stay outside.
What? Oh, funny.
Daddy said hooked into my outside of me.
Yeah, now without your jacket and a hat.
Oh, are you going outside? Outside? She was just gonna come in the garage.
My hat is in my room.
Oh, do you want to go in the garage or outside?
Well, now there's an option. Is it still snowing? Like, it looks like it might be snowing up, like out my window. It's not here, but.
Mommy, Daddy, the hat has stars on it.
Let's go look in here. I might know where it's at. Over here,
I just find another piece of.
Outside, baby. Oh, yeah.
Aubrey, that's enough, please.
Rental bag.
Your winter bag is in my car.
Oh, it's in.
Baby,
It's in my car.
right here.
My mom, Tom asked mommy.
Okay, where did she say it is?
It's in my car.
It's in mommy's car.
Yeah.
Let's go look.
Home stretch, y'all. So, there we have it. 2 camos. So I'll let all this Mod Podge dry for a little bit, and then I'll go out and seal it really good with triple thick before I put my first coat of epoxy on. So hope that helps you guys.